Earlier this morning, Dan Polanen was telling you about a group that started off on Friday nights, LiveWorkPlay, with the fellow who is going to join us now, Keenan Wellar, who is the founder, along with his wife, of LiveWorkPlay. And these Friday night get-togethers were to get parents and people with intellectual disabilities together for little social outings, right, Keenan?
That's how we started out. It was a way to get going on a problem that was concerning to us.
You were volunteers, and you thought, we've got to do something about the problem of housing.
Well, actually, we started out just with the overall problem of people with intellectual disabilities when they were leaving high school. They were kind of graduating to nothingness, not much to do. There wasn't a lot of support to enter the workplace. There wasn't any post-secondary educational opportunities. And we were just picking up on this general sense of despair among families, that there wasn't much for their kids.
And initially, you intended to buy and build a group home.
Well, we had done a couple of housing projects where we had come up with the idea that we would try and do some sort of a multi-unit building where everybody could live. And for various reasons, one of them was just the challenge of doing that, but we kind of rethought that and asked ourselves 20 years from now, will people still be building these sort of forced congregated settings? We thought ours would be a really nice one, but we thought philosophically it was probably the wrong thing to do. And you went small condos instead. You purchased condos. Yeah, we went, I think most importantly was we went with housing that's already, in the community, and that would be the place to be. Are you finding in the condos where you've purchased, the condo units where you've purchased, that there is support from the other people who live in those buildings? Yes, and even better than that, there's some mutuality going on. We did pick a building that has mostly older residents, and there is some mutual support there in terms of what our guys can do and what they can do. Well, I'm assuming, Jack, that this was turned out to be a godsend for you. Jack Murphy is the parent of two men that we heard earlier on Dan's report, two twins. They're 29.
They're 29, yeah.
And they are living
at 265 Poulin.
And they are doing very well.
Well, they're doing well, but they need support. Their mothers, the slight problem with the eating, meals, I should say.
Cooking, preparing.
They can't handle it 100% on their own, and I'm not sure they ever will be able to handle it 100%.
But there was, I'm sure, a period of great anxiety for you and your wife about where things were going to go in the future.
Yes, we've been 10 years thinking about this and preparing to get them to move out and try to become self-sufficient.
As independent as possible.
That's right.
Because it must weigh very heavily on the parents of people who have these intellectual disabilities as to what their future is going to be when your time comes that you're not able to take care of them anymore.
It certainly does, and we felt that we have to do it now while we're young enough to give support to Warren and Ian, not wait till we're 85 and no longer can move ourselves. So this is why we took this opportunity.
So this has turned out to be great.
Yeah, so far so good. Like Jack said, there's some things to learn along the way, but it's much nicer to be learning them while people like Jack are still around to be a part of it, instead of their whole world being about organizations and staff and all that kind of thing. To have family, it's really important. Yeah, you don't need the group home with the group kitchen and the...
No, and I guess the best thing is to start them off when they're fairly young. If we waited another, let's say, 10 or 15 years till I'm 80 years of age, and they would be 45, let's say, it becomes much more difficult for them to leave, I would think.
And more difficult for you to let go.
Absolutely. And it's always difficult to let go. More difficult for the mothers than the fathers, I do believe.
Yeah. Are you using any sort of high-tech communications where, there's a panic button or anything along those lines?
No, they have cell phones. They have cell phones. But we have workers that go there 2 or 3 times a week, to help them with their meals and prepare things for the following day and to make sure that everything is okay.
How many people with intellectual disabilities have you been able to help to this point?
There's 10 that have moved out, and there's 4 that are living in units that we've purchased, but also it's just sometimes being part of helping the families plan for them to make their own purchase and us to help support that. And that's actually our preferred situation. And we're actually always open to the future if someone wants to purchase a unit that we've actually gone ahead and bought for now. And if upon their retirement or something they realize, I could buy this unit that my kid's been living in, we're totally open to not being landlords, no problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what about financial wherewithal? Because the person has some disability pension.
Right.
And what kind of dollar value are we looking at there in terms of government assistance?
Yeah, it's the housing allowance portion is about $450. So in Ottawa,
total.
Yes, in Ottawa we know that's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a gesture towards real market rent.
So there is some sort of supplement involved, and it's usually from the parents?
No, we are renting to the individuals at $450 a month, and basically our margins are just extremely tight. It covers the cost of keeping the unit open and doesn't cover support costs.
And so how are you covering those?
Well, we have an interesting staff team who's willing to do some things. And that's basically the story.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
Yeah, well,
a lot of volunteerism, is that?
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, where do you go from here?
Well, there is some interesting movement happening in the kind of affordable housing sector. There is increasing recognition from government that the typical way of doing social housing perhaps is not working as well for everyone as it could be, and especially for a population with some special needs as we are serving, that it might make more sense to do the kind of thing that we're doing, and we're trying to demonstrate that. And there is an RFP out now for the Action Ottawa Affordable Housing Program that does allow for that type of possibility, so we're going to see where that leads.
So do you find, Jack, that neighbors are helpful, that other people in the building are helpful? To what degree are you finding the community welcoming?
Well, I haven't seen too much of that myself, and I'm not aware of it if it is going on. It's just that, like Keenan was saying, there are several other adults, I guess, that Warren and Ian were connected with through LiveWorkPlay that are in there, and that they
react with each other.
That's right, and they visit each other once in a while, and so they'll just drop in, and so that part is and they have everything there that they need. They have swimming pools, they have exercise rooms. It's a real great place if you want to use it.
Is there resistance? Do you find any resistance at all in the communities where you say, let's try and buy this condo, and our intention is to have somebody with an intellectual disability move into it? Do you get any resistance?
There was a tiny bit of inquiries before we ever purchased, and nothing ever since, because basically the people we have in there, they're a pretty fun, nice bunch of people, and it doesn't take long to figure that out, and there's no reason to object to their presence, really.
So in the future, you intend to buy more of these condos, or? We
do, and not necessarily all in the same place.
That would be desirable, to have it all spread over, right? Yeah,
well, like Jack said, though, there is something to be had from a few people that know each other in the same building, so they don't feel too alone. But we're going to reach a certain critical mass where we'll need to look at other places. And we do have, for whatever reason, a lot of families from Orleans have always come to LiveWorkPlay. And there's a huge cadre out there that are not terribly interested in the West End of Ottawa. So we're exploring that right now.
Okay. You need more West Enders then.
Yeah.
So what would be the criteria by which people who are listening and saying, gee, I wonder if that applies to me. I wonder if it applies to my household in our situation, through which you say, yes, that child, who's now an adult, might be eligible for the services of LiveWorkPlay.
Right. Well, we have a bit of a challenge there because we do serve now about 40 adults, and we have managed to help 10 of them, but that leaves us 30, and without right now any funding source. Basically, we're working very hard to serve the 30 people we already have. So unfortunately, at this point, newcomers aren't going to get that kind of support from us, but hopefully in future years.
Where do you want to go? You're hoping that the government will somehow come through with some assistance?
Well, I think philosophically they're going to have to transition away from these older ideas like group homes, especially for people that we serve, where it's a level of support that is excessive. and it's much affordable and much better, I think, to do what we are doing in a lot of cases. So we're just kind of waiting for that to catch up, and I see possibilities down the line.
Pushing the envelope.
You bet.
Changing the way people think about how these things can be approached.
That's right, because group homes, Elaine and I did not think was a place for our two sons. So
Might be for some.
Might be for some, but this was much better suited for Warren and Ian.
And it's working out.
It's working out, yes, and it's getting better every month. So hopefully in another 10 years, they may have it on their own.
Said Dad with a wink. Okay, thanks very much for being here, both of you.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Keenan, on the work you and your co-founder have been doing.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Jack Murphy, parent of two young men with intellectual disability who found a home and are living as independently as they can, and future, hopefully even more independently, and Keenan Wellar, the co-founder of LiveWorkPlay.